Yes, what are we doing?
Hey, we're going to talk about, maybe, you never know, a discussion that could go anywhere. The idea is straight to DVD productions, and what do we think about them?
Yeah, well, what do we think about them?
I think the problem with that kind of production is it's not going to go in the cinema, so you can't see it there. It's not going to go on TV, so you can't see it there. You have to just stumble across it in a shop. Is that a success? Is that a way to get success?
Well, I think if that's the case, then you're doing the same thing as your average book that gets released. You have to go to your favorite internet bookstore, or you go to a real life bookstore, or you go to the library, and you just stand there and browse with some intent. So in the crime section, or in the non-fiction psychology section, or in the romance section. And then what you got, like alphabetical order, covers.
Yeah.
So in the case of films, I would say you may come across a title on your favorite streaming service, or your actual store, whether it's online or not. And you see a cover. So I'm seeing a cover. I happen to see lots of Batman covers. Apparently I'm in the Batman section here.
You're in the Batman section here.
But I also see a Green Lantern cover. And I'm like, I've not seen Green Lantern yet. So off we go. Oh, we're super
green.
Organized here with the green. So yeah, so this is straight to DVD?
This is actually the... Yeah, this is as far as I know. Let me take this off. Now it's got the thingy on. This is how you get DC animated movies in Europe right now. And this is actually a stack I bought secondhand of somebody who had bought them, obviously, all together, an entire stack of these things. I feel like. So these are all made to DVD, made for something in the. And that's the thing about when they get here in a straight to DVD format. We don't know whether or not they actually were ever in a cinema in the States. Because why would you not want to put a thing in?
I don't know, but with animated movies, you never know if they were in the cinema or not.
Yeah.
How do you know? Okay, so I'm going online and I'm looking at Wikipedia, and then I'm looking at the actual thing for sale in a shop. Does it tell me this is like a major motion picture?
No, all it tells you is...
Does it tell me this went straight to video? The actual difference between a major motion picture and straight to DVD can be like budgetary. It could be a tenth of the budget or less. You're talking about tens or hundreds of thousands, millions, tens or hundreds of millions for a motion picture, and you're talking about under the 10 or single digit millions.
Less, I hope.
For straight to DVD or straight to streaming.
And the thing is, you can't tell. I mean, if I said this, if I told you this is a major motion picture, you'd believe me.
Yeah. Why would I know? There's nothing that tells me.
So, and the thing about this particular stack is because I didn't know about these until I actually ran into somebody who had one and lent it to me, and I bought this stack later. Is that these films existed? I didn't even know these things existed.
So there's a lot of Batman animations out there,
and they're pretty good.
That you just happen to have to know somebody who knows about them.
Yeah.
in order to know that they exist.
Yeah.
Because there's never going to be a commercial anywhere, an ad or a trailer for it.
Not where
anything.
Not where we are, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't know about the States. I think you probably find this in your comic shop. Well, I haven't been to a comic shop in I don't know where there would be one. I'm sure there is one, but this would be in a comic shop, I suppose. And it happens to be this, but there's also films with live action things that are, and then you run into a film and say, I've never heard of this thing, but it has an actor that I know from something else, and then I watch it, and then it turns out to be.
That's how I find stuff. It's like I know this actor. I go look at this complete list, his, her, their complete list on IMDB, and then I go, oh, interesting, and maybe there's a title I recognize, and then I go look that up, or there are titles I don't recognize, but I was like, okay, well, this description looks interesting, or the title looks interesting. In the end, all you've got is a title, really. So this is the Green Lantern. This is called Son of Batman. Well, okay, hello, you've piqued my interest, and not only that, you actually see on the cover, you see Batman, and you see a younger person, also in action. So it's not like, okay, Batman's running around with a baby and has to protect the baby or something. That could be Son of Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this tells me a lot.
And it doesn't even tell you that it's actually animated, not on the front anyway. It says...
yeah. Well, that's also... The interpretation of covers is also something that they don't teach you. I think Americans get lessons in that.
It's
somewhere between learning to read and learning to bake. There's also learn how covers work. It's like, because it shows you, and this one is especially good for that. I don't know if I'm sure we can do an insert or something. But it shows the main character, he's right up front in the middle. And then you see all these heads. So I've learned over the years that means that this is the main character, and the smaller the head gets, the smaller the part is. So I look for, is there a woman in there? Yes, there's a woman in there. There's a woman, and her head is just as big. Nope. Her head is actually 5th biggest on the cover. So you got 4 guys before you get to her. That's assuming that this monster person is a male. I don't know, but
he's a male.
So but she has pointy ears. So that's a big.
It's a space thing. This is a space thing.
Selling point to me. The fact that she has pretty boobies is probably selling point to other people. At any rate, she has selling points. But that's I've learned how to read covers slowly because I've seen many of them. And this has a similar thing going. It says, look at all these people are going to be in here, and this is going to be cool.
Soups, bets.
It's pretty much the same formation as that, actually. It looks like the same monster guy.
Here's another one. That one. Well, these are similar.
Yeah, so you got Batman versus Robin. Shows Batman and a boy, but they are they might be fighting each other. And this is Batman and a boy called Son of Batman. Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
And the boy is not especially. There's action and anger, but it's just going. They both noses facing in the same direction. Very good Dutch expression.
Yeah.
So they're on the same page.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you are in the store and you see, this is a good cover with the yellow and the black, and that's clear what it is. But in the store, basically, this is your information, or even on the website, this is your information. If you want to know more from a selling website, you have to go find the listing somewhere else, or the wiki entry or whatever. And you're basically buying it on that cover, which is what I bought it on as well.
Yeah. And you have to take a leap of faith at some point, because new movies coming out will have current trailers. So the world will come at you at channels that you follow, possibly your streaming thing or YouTube ads or however you're getting, or in the theater. You also get your trailers.
I saw my last movie I saw because in a movie before I saw a trailer for this one. Yeah.
So that works.
That works.
So it's kind of like following that conceptual trail.
But it does mean that you have to keep going to the theater, to the movie theater, and because of...
And you did.
But because of pandemic, the first film we went to was one I picked out, especially because now we could finally go to the theater. And I sort of, let's figure out if it's any good. We'll find out the hard way, I guess.
So you also have to have an in.
Yeah. So we're going to the next one because, again, there was a trailer.
But all of these are not movies straight to DVD.
These are not movies straight to DVD.
Well, I remember of the VHS era, you got one of these, and then at the beginning you would have trailers. I think they still do that with the DVDs, by the way. They still put trailers on, but you can kind of skip over them.
You can choose not to open them.
Where I actually do watch trailers, I don't know if anyone else does that, is on IMDB. Because it very kindly provides trailers for a lot of movies.
Yeah, but then you already have to be at the page for the movie to watch the trailer. Yeah. It's not like... I mean, I don't want to be bombarded with commercials. That's not what I want. But you have to... There has to be some way to get the information to you. At the moment, I'm watching stuff because people have written have a YouTube review about it or written something about it, and I saw it, and then the moment I decide I want to watch it, I stop watching the review because I want to watch it, which is fair enough. But then I know it exists and it's interesting, and I would like to see it.
Well, another not straight to DVD story, thing that happened to me was in 2004, the Starsky and Hutch movie came out. I'm a big Starsky and Hutch fan, so I am tuned into that this was happening.
Yep.
Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller, and we literally here in Europe, we were holding our breath because if it did poorly in the US on the first weekend, it would not be promoted in Europe.
And
it
shown.
would not be shown in the theaters, especially not in the Netherlands. Maybe it would end up in the theaters in the UK, but not in the Netherlands. We would not have been able to see it. How do you get to see it? In that scenario didn't happen. They did actually have a good first weekend, so they did a massive rollout in Europe, and we all got to see it. But if you don't, then what do? Because that happened a lot as well. There was a movie with Scott Bakula that I wanted to see because I'm also a Quantum Leap fan. And Enterprise fan, obviously. Star Trek fan. But Scott Bakula was in a movie called Color of Night with Bruce Willis. And that's not one of the small guys out there. That's a big one. A-list actor out there. So I was certain this thing was going to make it to the Netherlands. And I was going to see it in the theater. I was going to see Scott Bakula on the big screen. Because he's, of course, TV star. So I'm always seeing him on the small screen. And I like having him in my living room. But I wanted to see him on the big screen. What happens? The movie gets rated NC-17. First movie ever to get rated NC-17. In fact, they invented NC-17 for this movie.
It was pretty ghastly.
Because Bruce Willis was full frontal in this movie. Bless his heart, we were so happy. But the problem with that was that there wasn't really a bracket for a serious movie that wasn't, PORN and still had full frontal. In Europe, in the Netherlands, that would not be a problem. Most movies have this and has always had this. But, So instead of getting an X rating or an R rating, they had to negotiate. And if I'm completely wrong, I will write that under here saying I was talking bullshit. But I'll check. But that is what I remember of. Almost 20 years ago, and so they said no. This is a movie. This is a proper drama, psychodrama.
It was a proper psychodrama. Yeah.
And
it was an erotic thriller. It was definitely erotic thriller.
Yeah, it wasn't even not even erotic.
Not even much erotic. No.
So they invented this, or they not invented. Yeah, they decided that there is such a thing as NC-17, which means it is not upper shelves behind the curtain. No, it is a proper movie, but it is super, super adult. That movie didn't come to the Netherlands. Now, in the 90s, there was nothing I could do. Not even things off the radar. There was just nothing I could do. No. It wasn't going to be in the theater. I wasn't going to see my skull Bakula.
At all.
He gets killed beautifully. In this, like, literally,
seriously splatter.
Something like, from interviews I was hearing that it took him 3 days to get killed that way. So I was like, no, I need to see this death scene. It's going to be spectacular. Yeah, no, it didn't come to the Netherlands. So that was straight to DVD. But the DVDs didn't, straight to video, obviously.
We did get to see it at some point. I think
you got to see it, but not at that time. You have to wait for the videotapes to come out.
Yeah, and these videotapes, they didn't come out straight, like 3 months after it left the theater. No. It was like a year or 2 years. It was a long time.
It was actually not until Lord of the Rings, bless their hearts, Lord of the Rings did the first worldwide, as far as I remember, you can correct me if you know else, but it's the first worldwide release of these great Anglophone movies that everyone wants to see. They released them every December worldwide, so it came out
because they're
everywhere on the same day.
Yeah.
And then Harry Potter started doing that. So we had 3 years of this, and then we had 7 or 8 years of Harry Potters, and now we've gotten the James Bonds do it now too.
Yeah, but the Harry Potter James Bonds are British, and the Lord of the Rings are New Zealand production. Yeah, basically.
But it has changed. I don't know if all American movies do it now too, but
they do. The house,
out.
the House of Gucci, which I was keeping tabs on because I wanted to know when it was coming, because I was worried it wasn't going to last very long.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is you blink and you missed it here. Yeah. You know, it's in the theaters for 2 weeks and then it's gone.
It actually came out in UK first with a premiere, and then a couple of days later it was everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And that's an American production.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also set in Europe. So,
and the dates, the dates are not 100% exactly the same, because at least here in the Netherlands, we have a week calendar for movies in the movie theater that starts on Wednesday. So if a film comes out on Tuesday, it will come here on the Wednesday. But if it comes out on the Thursday, sometimes it will still come out on the Wednesday here.
The previous or the next one?
No. The previous one, so we get it 1 day earlier. Nice. But that's only like if it's 1 day discrepancy. But so you, when you look at IMDb, you will see sometimes shifts in dates, but it will have to do something to do with the film agenda, basically, with the film schedule.
Well, the second new Star Trek movie, Into Darkness. For those who've seen it or are into this stuff, they know that's an important one to catch. All these movies at that time were starting, because we're well into the 2010s, they were all starting to come out on the same day worldwide. Star Wars, Star Trek, etc. But not that one. That one came out pretty much everywhere within the space of 1 or 2 weeks, and the Netherlands had 6 weeks for, I don't know why. Nobody told me why. The Star Trek fan base here was like pulling their hairs out. People actually went to England to watch it, because you can pandemic free, you can hop over pretty easily.
It's 30 minutes in the air or a couple of hours.
It's an hour in the air, but still. But anyway, it's possible if you're desperate enough. It's crazy, but it's possible. And one would be as crazy as that, but I didn't do that. But my problem was, this is also the age of everywhere internet, everywhere spoilers.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if Benedict Cumberbatch, what his role was, because they had very clear, pointedly kept it under wraps. They were very good at that. And they said to the fans, please don't tell others until it's everywhere. Yes, everywhere except the Netherlands, because in 2 weeks they started blasting it over the internet. And I was like, now what? You know, how am I going to see this movie without being spoiled? I can't like switch off my internet for 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that we live in an internet age, information age, means that people know stuff almost instantly. And there was this case of the DC live action films. They had done the Man of Steel, and then Batman vs Superman, and then Justice League was going to come out. And the Batman vs Superman was so ill received, let me put it like that, that they actually worldwide fans waited for the people who do the reviews on YouTube and in print in written form to go and see the movie to see if it was any worth their while. Oops. Yeah, that's how the world is now, and then I still don't understand. Coming back to these straight to DVD things, if it's not anywhere where people can pick it up easily, I mean. If somebody hadn't given me one of theirs to borrow, I wouldn't even know they existed. And
certain series that I am a massive fan of has never aired in the Netherlands. You know, and why do I know about it? Because I know people who know stuff and who know what I like, because we know each other because we're in the same fandoms. And they go, oh, you should watch this, which I do with other people as well. And usually you get very happy results with that. Yeah. But then I'm exposed to all sorts of stuff that was never even on television here, and never will be.
Yeah. And the information, we get information from other fans. But if there's like one of these is in trouble or is really good or and put in the wrong box or something like it turns out, I mean, the story is not Batman Bad Blood, but a Batman story with a love story involved in it, and which may be ill received by the group that for which is meant, but might be interesting for us. Yeah. Sticking it on DVD and just dumping it out there is not going to do anything, is it?
I have one other question is, you know, I've heard of these movies that are like, okay, it was made for the cinema, but we decided to go straight to DVD. It's like, what happens? Who makes these decisions, and why aren't they made to start with?
I think.
I mean, if you're gonna
I know some of the answer to that. It's not very satisfying answer, but I know the answer to that. When they decide to go from a cinematic production to a straight to DVD production, is because it's usually too horrifically bad.
They were disappointed
by making it go straight to DVD is that they can recoup the expenses they would have had to promote it as a feature film, because there's a whole bunch of promotion you have to do, advertising you have to do.
This is the thing,
and so now you can still get a thing that is not in any way advertised straight to DVD.
This is what came to my attention when they were talking about the Starsky & Hutch movie that I just mentioned, is that they won't roll out the type of media circus that they can,
which costs money.
It's massive amounts of money. It's like, will it do well enough to actually roll it out in other parts of the world?
Yeah, and if they know it's,
and they decided yes, it is.
Yeah, and if they look at the result when it's finished cut, when they finish the final cut and they show it to the big boss who has to decide what promotion they're going to do, and they decide it's a stinker, then they're not going to waste their money, which is fair enough. For sometimes they actually make the entire the production disappear. Not always, because because there's other things involved. There's rights and stuff like that. Some contracts, when they make movies, it says in the contract that they actually have to make the movie and put it out, and that's why we get some real stinkers on straight to DVD, because they have to put it out. They just don't have to put it out in the cinema.
And then there are the ones that actually have the director Alan Smithy.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Well, the Alan Smithy thing is when the director disagrees so much and they still go ahead and put it out somewhere.
I've seen a couple of those.
Yep.
It's like watching a C, D, or E movie.
Or F, G, H, I,
oh my God,
L,
the
M, N,
things
O, P,
we won't go through
Z
for
movie.
our beloved actors.
But there is a famously bad version of the Fantastic Four. It was finished. There is a video copy of it around, but it was so bad that the studio decided to bury it, and still it is around, so it can be found. It's a video version of it. It's bad. It's a stinker. I've seen bits of it, but the ones that made it to cinema are also not the best. But they had to do the whole campaign because it was in the contract. That there was a lot of stuff in the contract there's weird contracts out of there that make studios do really weird things. But
so it basically comes down to there's things that happen behind the scenes that make things go where they go, and has sometimes very little to do with actually reaching the audience that want to be reached.
Yeah.
We do want to know about these movies. We also want to know about the little stinky movies, because we either love the property, maybe I just want to see all Fantastic Four movies in the entire world because I am a completist, or there's people in it that we want to see, or there's production, or whatever it is that people were looking for.
But these things were never. These are not dumped. These are specifically made to go on DVD as a good property.
But it's animated, right?
Yeah, these are animated. I don't know if that's the problem because they're animated. But
I would say so. I mean, but this Green Lantern isn't.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's also animated. I thought this was the Green Lantern movie that I watched, because that was quite good.
Yeah, and everybody hates it.
Oh, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I understand why they hated it, but I still enjoyed it.
I think animated movies have a lot less chance to be rolled out in the cinemas.
It's a shame because those live action DC films that I talked about, oh my God, both so bad, and these are not so bad. They actually have a story and less objectionable things, and roles for everybody, and things we want to see. But now I think it's going to be all streaming, so this problem is going to go away.
Yeah.
They just put it all on streaming and people can find it that way, which I think is probably it's easier to find because you basically buy a package into a package and you can watch whatever is there, and that's quite different than having to buy a stack and then hope there's something good in it. I haven't seen any of these yet, but I know some of them supposed to be really good, some of them not so good. But so hopefully review of them at some point.
All right. Well, I think that's our opinion.
And that is our opinion.
And for the moment, we're sticking to it.
And we're sticking to it.